Okay, so if you're on a bids and awards committee, part of the secretariat, or you're an end user, you know the feeling. You're buried in procurement paperwork. But what if I told you that the most important document of all, the Annual Procurement Plan, or APP, isn't just another form to fill out? Today, we're going to demystify this thing and turn it from a compliance headache into what it should be, your agency's most powerful strategic tool.
So let's just ask the question right out of the gate. Is the APP just a box-ticking exercise? A big list of stuff you have to consolidate once a year? The answer is a hard no. What we're here to show you is that a well-crafted APP is your agency's roadmap. It's the engine that's actually going to drive you toward achieving your mission. You know, the best way to think about this is with an analogy. I want you to see your APP as the architectural blueprint for your agency's entire year. Now think about it. A vague, rushed blueprint that leads to a weak foundation, project delays, and budgets that just blow up. But a detailed strategic blueprint, well, that's how you build something strong, on time, and on budget. Your APP does exactly that for your agency's goals.
So in this explainer, that's exactly what we'll do. We're going to explore the APP as that strategic blueprint. We'll break down its 3 different phases: indicative, final, and updated. Then we'll get really practical and decode the APP form itself, show you how to keep it current as a living document, and then we'll wrap up with the keys to truly mastering your plan. All right, first things first, let's bust a common myth right away. The APP isn't some static document you create in January and then forget about. No way. It's a dynamic plan that has a real life cycle. And understanding its 3 phases is absolutely the key to managing your procurement process effectively, instead of letting it manage you.
Let's just break down its evolution. It all starts out as the proposal. That's your indicative APP. This is your initial game plan, your best guess that you use to get your budget. Once that budget gets approved, it transforms into the approved plan, the final APP. This is your official green light for the year. But as we all know, reality has other ideas, which brings us to the living document, the updated APP, which adapts and changes throughout the year.
And this slide right here shows that crucial shift from theory to reality. On the left, you've got the indicative APP. It's based on those initial PPMPs. You could call it the wish list. But the final APP on the right, that's your reality check. It is strictly based on the approved budget, whether that's from the GAA or your corporate funds. This is where your procurement year officially kicks off. It's the moment your plan becomes real and actionable. All right, let's get into the nuts and bolts. The AP form. Yeah, with all those columns, it can look a little intimidating. But don't worry, we're going to break it down into 3 simple stories: the what, the how, and the money and time. Once you see it this way, that confusing spreadsheet turns into a crystal clear project summary. So every great procurement starts by defining the what. Column 1 might have that long, formal title, but column 3 is where the real story is. Now, as an end user, this is your first critical job. You have to translate jargon like improvement of facilities into a clear outcome like construction of a sports complex, and then you categorize it. Getting crystal clear descriptions here prevents massive headaches later on. Trust me. Next up is the how. This is where the BAC's strategic expertise really shines. These columns, they're not just drop-down menus, they define your entire approach. Are you going to use competitive bidding with the lowest calculated responsive bid? Or maybe a design and build scheme is better? Getting this strategy right at the very beginning is the difference between a smooth process and one that's just filled with delays and protests. And finally, we lock it all in with the money and time. This section gives everyone total transparency. You've got the schedule, the specific source of funds, and the approved budget for the contract. When all the stakeholders can see this information laid out so clearly, it creates accountability and it keeps the entire project on track from start to finish. Now, we all know that even the best laid plans, they meet reality. Budgets get reallocated, priorities shift, and unexpected needs just pop up. This is where the true power of the APP really comes alive, not as some rigid rulebook, but as that flexible, living blueprint we talked about. Let's actually see how this works in practice. Okay, so just imagine this is your final APP at the beginning of the year. It's a pretty straightforward plan. Buy some laptops using small value procurement, and get office furniture through public bidding. Everything's clear, it's approved, and this is our starting point, our baseline for the year. But now, take a look at updated app version 2.
The end user realized they needed more laptops. This pushed the budget from 1.5 to 2.5 million. And that change automatically kicks the procurement mode up from small value to public bidding. But the real key here is the remarks column. It tells the story of why the change happened. See, this isn't a sign of bad planning. This is a sign of responsive management, and it creates a bulletproof audit trail.
So, updating an existing project is one thing. But what about a real curveball, an emergency that was on absolutely no one's radar? This is where a well-managed app proves its real worth, especially under pressure.
Let's fast forward to version 7. A typhoon strikes and the admin building's roof gets damaged. We need an urgent, unbudgeted repair right now. Notice how this new item is added directly to the APP. The mode is shifted to negotiated procurement for emergencies, and the remarks clearly link it to the typhoon. This proves that the APP isn't a barrier. It's the framework that lets you take swift, transparent, and legally sound action, even in a crisis.
So, we've taken the whole journey, right? From an initial proposal all the way to a crisis response. Now, let's just boil it all down to the essential principles that will help you and your entire team master your procurement plan. Okay, here's what you really need to remember. First, always think strategically. This is your agency's game plan, not just a shopping list. Second, know the life cycle. Using the right version of the plan at the right time is so critical. Third, always tell the story in the remarks column. It gives context, it ensures transparency, and it protects everyone involved. And finally, you have to embrace change. A well-maintained, updated AAPP isn't a sign of failure, it's the hallmark of an agile and responsive agency.
So we'll leave you with this final thought. The APP is so much more than paperwork. It's a living, breathing blueprint for your agency's success. The only question left is, now that you have this deeper understanding, how will you use your plan not just to buy things, but to actively drive your agency's mission forward?